I have here Tammi, Sudbury Realtor in town. Thank you for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
Now tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm born and raised in Sudbury, so I grew up here, went to high school at St. Charles, and been back home in Sudbury for 5 years now with Moleque Goring. So I was away for university and working for a while, and been in real estate now for 6 years, and actually started in Toronto working with the commercial brokerage there. Got my training at CBRE, which is one of the larger corporate commercial firms, and learned about the business and learned what I loved and didn't love about life in corporate Toronto, and made my way back to Sudbury in 2012, almost exactly 5 years to the day now. I've been with Moleque Goring. So thanks. So we do commercial leasing, so we're focused mostly on leasing office space and retail, restaurant, industrial type space in Sudbury, and we also do sale of investment properties. So whether it's like an income property, like a triplex or apartment building, or like a commercial strip mall, that's most of what we do for clients in Sudbury.
Nice. Did you always know that you're going to get into real estate?
No, actually. So I was in sales prior to being in real estate, and my grandfather was a realtor in Sudbury for many years. So when I was in sales, he always would nudge me every so often, why not get into real estate? And so I was always curious to have a real estate license for my own investment purposes, but I didn't know if I'd make a career of selling real estate. And then once I got into doing the courses, I learned more about what's available for commercial side of things and being focused on investment and working with business people. So I decided to take that route instead of doing residential like he had done. But it's been great. I get to work with all different types of business owners, and it's more of a Monday to Friday 9 to 5 type position instead of being on call, like some of the residential guys.
All the time. On
call doing showings at night or running open houses on a Sunday, and I like the dealing with business people and more of that 9 to 5 type vibe. So it's been great. Right.
So you see a lot of businesses come through Sudbury, new, existing, of all kinds, like you just mentioned. What makes Sudbury so appealing to do business here?
I love it. I mean, for me, it's that sweet spot where it's a small town in a sense compared to Toronto or Vancouver or Montreal, but it's still a large enough market. So for any business, there's a clientele, and there's an opportunity for success. And obviously, with the catchment area outside of Sudbury, from Timmins to the Soo to North Bay and around. But for me, it's that good middle ground where it's laid back. It's a good lifestyle. You don't have to work 100 hours a week to be able to pay your mortgage. You can have a good quality of life and be able to enjoy the time in the north and the lakes and nature and all that fun stuff.
So much.
Also still kick some butt in the business too.
So is that what has kept you here then?
For me, that's the case for sure, and I think that's relevant for a lot of people running businesses here. It's it's a good place to have a life and to build a family and build a career, and definitely Sudbury's not a booming town, in the sense of, we're not seeing double-digit increases in property values every year. We're not seeing, hundreds of new businesses opening every month, but there is growth here and there's opportunity for more. And I think that, there's a lot of businesses that want to keep growing, and we're seeing that happening for sure. So.
Awesome. So what are some trends that you can tell us about for the Sudbury market for commercial?
Sure. What we found is that there is a lot of growth. There's certain areas that have seen challenges in the last few years, like with the mining sector being a little slower for the last 2 to 3 years. The industrial side's been a little slower, but there's been, I'd say, a turnaround so far in 2017 with industrial services. But we're seeing a lot of growth in retail and restaurant space, so lots of people want to open up funky new restaurants, and new chains still looking to come to town. With office space, what we found is that, and it's, we were talking about the space here at High Rise as well, is there's I think a trend towards right sizing of space, right? So being more efficient. A lot of people now encouraging their staff to work from home and maybe not take up space within an office, so that they can reduce their footprint or reduce their overhead. We're seeing a lot of these shared office type setups that make sense, because someone like myself, I don't necessarily go to my office every day. I'm working on the road at the clients, or I'm meeting someone in a Starbucks to sign papers or Tim Hortons, and it's nice to be able to have just a small office to pop into to do paperwork, and not necessarily have to punch in and punch out, but to work from a laptop and get work done on your own too. So I think that's a trend. Definitely we're seeing that the investment market's still strong, so lots of people, with the interest rates being so low, a lot of people want to invest in real estate and be able to, have tenants pay down their mortgage and be able to, work towards financial freedom through owning property, right? So
Absolutely.
there's a lot of optimism around where things are going, and there's still room for the city to grow and the population to grow, and I think there's a lot we can do to make Sudbury a more appealing destination too, so that we can see growth in the future. But lots of good things happening.
What's like a really booming area right now for business that you're seeing?
I would say that for the most part, we're seeing growth in services. People knowing that customer experience is number one. So anything that's service based and can provide a unique customer experience seems to be something that's growing. Food is always something that's appealing to people. So
yes.
New restaurants and that, we're seeing a lot of that. In terms of Sudbury specifically, I would say there is a range. We get corporate offices still here. There's growth in education, growth in healthcare, government as well. But I'd say most of the growth has been in services, including retail, restaurant type stuff for sure.
Are you seeing a lot of young entrepreneurs coming up more so?
For sure, yeah. So we're seeing a lot of people now realizing that they can, control their own destiny and be an entrepreneur. It's not an easy life, but it's a life that you have control over, right? And it's definitely not without its challenges. But I think a lot of people are realizing that there's not necessarily the job stability in working for the man, so to speak,
right.
or corporation. And a lot of people now realizing they can, create their own business, and whether that's providing a service or selling a product, or being able to have a store, or have something they do online or from home. I think there's definitely growth in entrepreneurship in Sudbury.
Absolutely. So I'm going to touch on this a little bit. You sold knives door to door for a little bit. Talk a little bit about how because that was obviously a sales, and you're in sales now too. So that kind of catapulted your career in sales.
100%, yeah. So when people ask me about it, selling knives was the foundation of my success in business. So I started with the company is called Vector Marketing. They sell a product called Cutco.
Yes. So
Cutco is some high-end kitchen knives. They're really expensive, yes. Really sharp, really awesome knives. People use in their kitchen for chopping up veggies and all that fun stuff. So when I was in university in Calgary, I was recruited on campus. They actually targeted university students as their sales force. So I started there part-time as a student and ended up really liking it because I was getting to meet different people in Calgary. And basically what we would do is go into someone's kitchen, like a husband and wife, and we'd have some veggies and stuff. We'd chop stuff up.
So do like a demonstration.
Yeah, exactly. So in-home sales is what it was. So you'd end up, let's say, meeting their neighbor, and the neighbor bought a bunch of expensive cutlery, and then they said, hey, you should call my neighbor Sue. She'd love this stuff. And then we'd call up Sue and do the same thing. So what was great is it taught me how to adapt to different types of people, right? So you'd get different types of personalities, and you'd have to kind of adjust your sales approach, and you learn how to deal with people, one-on-one, obviously, which I find I deal with every day now. And the other thing is sales is challenging. So that was essentially a door-to-door type, job, and there's lots of rejection. You'd get people that would not want to book an appointment with you, so they'd hang up the phone, or you'd get people that wouldn't want to purchase anything, so you'd have that rejection that you'd have to overcome. And I find that in business and in sales, there's a lot of up and down, right? And you have to not only manage, your finances and manage your staff if you have staff, but it's managing yourself, right? And
that's right.
Being persistent and having some thick skin, right? Because I've had periods in my business where things are great and we're having record-breaking months and record-breaking quarters, and then I've had periods where it's been really brutal, and you just have to know that you have belief in yourself and that you can get through that, right?
Absolutely.
So I think that came from selling knives, strangely enough. So
you hustled your way through that.
I did, yeah. So I was with them during university, and then when I graduated after my 4-year degree, they actually offered me a position to move to Montreal. So I moved there to run the sales office for Montreal, and I was there with my own staff and learned how to hire people and train people and motivate people and coach them, and was there for about 3 years. And they moved me to Hamilton, where I was there for about another 3 years, and it was just really a great experience. I worked with great people, and the other thing is one of the things I value from that experience was being focused on personal growth and development, and the culture there was very positive. So it was a lot of learning about people like Robin Sharma and Tony Robbins, and all the success, like the growth mindset, right? For me, that's a big part of what I focus on in my business. And having that attitude of, being in control of your own fate and taking charge of your life. And I think a big part of that came from working there for almost 10 years.
Hey, whatever works and you're still doing it. So
yeah.
That's awesome. So when you're not selling and dealing with business people, what do you do for fun?
I'm a sports guy, okay. So like in the winter time, I play hockey a couple times a week. I'm curling now, getting into the old man sports. So I'm in curling. I like to ski, downhill ski in the winter. Okay. And then in the summer I golf and play baseball still, and like to ride the bike a little bit too. And so it's been great, and that's part of why I love living in Sudbury. There's lots to do outdoors.
There absolutely is a ton of stuff. So with all the stuff you have going on, how do you continue to persist and talk about your goals, and how do you consistently be the boss of your life in all areas, professionally, personally? What keeps you going?
I think that's something that's exciting, is you can always press reset on that, right? Mm-hmm. So for me, I know like 2017, it's the start of the year. I've got some goals for this year. Some I'm on track for, some I'm not. Right. And I can say today, well, what's my new goal for March, or what's my new goal for the spring? And I think whether it's business or personal, I have focus areas that I can shoot for and I can tackle in the short term. So for me, it's been mostly personal focus, and my health and energy and what I'm reading and what I'm learning and what I'm eating and what I'm doing, in terms of exercise. But for the business, it's been great having now some help in the office and having staff and being able to help them learn the business. Right. And a lot of what, drives my success is the success of our clients, right? So whether it's helping someone expand, or it's helping someone open their business for the first time, or someone that wants to retire, so they're buying investment properties to be able to eventually retire, or they want to pay for their kids to go to university. It's just rewarding for us to. My success is tied to the client's success, right? So it's rewarding to be able to help them reach their goals, and that indirectly helps us too. So
right.
Yeah.
So where can people find you?
Hopefully everywhere. So I would think that I'm visible online. So we have a business page on Facebook. We also have our website. So the company site, MilletteGoring.com. My site is SudburyCommercial.com. We try to be out there. I mean, we're busy with clients too, but definitely look us up if you have questions about real estate and investing, or obviously someone needs to lease some space, and
yes.
That's what we do. So
awesome. Well, thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
If you guys want to check out Chris online, you can on his Facebook page. If you have any questions, drop them below in the comments, and I'll have Chris personally answer them for you. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful Wednesday.